and welcome everybody to the 2023 World Championship Formula One racing at COTA, the United States Grand Prix. COTA, of course, being short for Circuit of the Americas. Okay, I don't know why they say Americas instead of America. Is it Americas or America? Does anybody know? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they said the Americas, but there we are. Considering Brazil is in the Americas, I'm just that's the point I was making. Don't really know. Interesting. We'll find. We'll get our expert on that. Lucky, if you could get on that one. What do they?
Okay,
I'll
ask him. I'll ask him.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. Okay. So, welcome as always to Fabio,
Hello.
etc. Fabio, and also hello. Ciao,
Hello.
as they
Ciao.
say.
Ciao.
Thank you so much. And also welcome to not the expert, not the expert, Lucky Seven Wolfen.
Good
Hi.
evening. Good evening. Good evening. I've
Okay.
just checked with the expert, and the expert says that it is Americas.
It
not
is.
America.
That's what I thought. Americas. Yeah. Who'd have thought?
Indeed.
The Americans
Thank you,
claiming
expert.
that their circuit is the circuit
Of all the Americas, not
of
just
all
one
the
America,
Americas,
but
yeah,
all the Americas. Yes.
including Brazil, which
Mm.
obviously is the circuit in the Americas, as far as I'm concerned.
I
Do
always
we?
thought it was named after a feminine hygiene product. Well, that went
Okay.
down like a lead balloon.
I don't know that one. I don't know. To be fair, I don't know many feminine hygiene products. That's just me. Okay.
Okay.
Should we move on with the show, gents?
Please.
Thank you for the permission. Okay. So first off, it was a sprint weekend. Amazing. So there was only an hour to set the cars up, and that turned out to be pivotal to the race result. But we will get there. We will get there, will we not? So the very first thing was the sprint race. An amazing, what's the word I'm looking for? Qualifying session, sprint shootout, which had, as I understand it, please correct me if I'm wrong, gents, Max Verstappen, Leclerc, was it Leclerc? I think it was Leclerc. Yeah, okay. Lewis Hamilton, Sir Lewis Hamilton, some might say. Then Norris and Piastri, then Norris, then Carlos, and then the also ran, which this week is going to be Perez. Okay, just to get that dig in there straight away. So anyway, the lights went out. It was in the afternoon. Lights went out. A fantastic getaway by Max Verstappen. He then pushed Leclerc off the track. Max pushing someone off the track, you say? Leclerc didn't complain about it. He just drove off the circuit and kept his foot in. Unfortunately, that allowed Lewis Hamilton to get past him. And there was the race for Leclerc, really. Behind that, Norris, Sainz, Piastri. I'm assuming that I'm still getting the Norris and Piastri bit right. There wasn't really that much to this race. There was some interesting tactics because Carlos Sainz was on the softest tyre that was available, which was the C4, and it was debatable whether that was actually going to last. And in fact, it didn't last, and that was the tactics out of the way, really. Again, if I'm wrong, please correct me because I didn't really take notes on the sprint race, but there you go. Lewis also running out of tyres. Verstappen then coming home to win the race quite easily with about 7 seconds. There was a few bits and pieces. Piastri's getaway, very good, and had a slight collision with Carlos Sainz as he was trying to get through. Hamilton going around the outside to get, as I said, to get the pastry, Arthur Leclerc, into turn 3. Anyway, that was that. Eventually, the fight between the McLarens and the Red Bull happened, and Piastri and Perez made a chance and made a good overtake round the outside. No, what am I saying? A good overtake around the outside of, I think it was about turn 8, and that was that really. He kind of came up. George Russell also tried to push through, but well defended by Piastri. And as I say, that was pretty much going to be the race done and dusted. So we're going to just move on slightly. There was a few overtakes and stuff. It was very relatively exciting. The sprint win of Verstappen from Hamilton, Leclerc, Norris, Perez, Sainz, Gasly, Russell, Albon. Again, a great race by Albon for 10th, for 9th, and Piastri in 10th place. And I'd just like to mark that in this particular race, there were no disqualifications. That's no disqualifications in this race. That was the sprint highlights. That's important for later, as you'll see. Getting on to the actual main race, as I say, the race, in the Circuit of Americas. It was, of course, Leclerc, who was in pole position, a fantastic pole position by Ferrari. After all this time, their car really coming good. And then it was, someone tell me who was in second.
Was
Piastri?
race.
Norris.
It was Norris. Thank you. There you go. It was Norris. Just checking you're on your toes there. Yeah,
I was asleep.
you're on
Sorry.
your toes. Thank you very much, Norris. And then Sir Lewis Hamilton, third place. And fourth place, Carlos Sainz. Fifth place, Russell. Sixth place, Verstappen. What happened to Verstappen? One of his lap times was deleted in the qualifying session. So he had a time deleted, the best time of his the qualifying session, and in fact he dropped back to sixth place. That all gave us some hope. Well, we were all hoping, weren't we, gentlemen? We were all hoping.
I was hoping.
I was hoping. I was doing more than hoping. I had everything crossed. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be that way. Why wasn't it to be that way? Because the Red Bull is so fast. Because the Red Bull is so fast that, in fact, there's not a chance of anything winning this year other than Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. However, interesting start. Norris getting away into first place. Then Leclerc second. Carlos Sainz did really great on the restart. Up to third, and followed by Lewis Hamilton. Then Verstappen got straight to fifth place behind him and Piastri, and eventually Perez, or then the two Alpines, then Perez getting away. So that led for an interesting race. How long would it be, we wondered, before Max Verstappen started pushing through? Well, he wasn't rushing. There was a problem with tyre wear on this circuit. He wasn't pushing early on. He bedded his tyres in, and it wasn't till somewhere lap, I'm guessing, sorry, getting a bit out of breath here, but never mind, I'll catch up in a second. So it wasn't till lap 11 that he started pushing through, getting past the Ferraris eventually, and eventually getting towards the first pit stop at well, I mean, this was the clever point. This is where he won the race. So lap 17, Verstappen pitting first, doing the undercut, and that really gave him the race victory. Whether he should have been allowed to get the undercut, we will talk about, but he did. He was first in, putting on a second set of medium tyres and scampering away. The Ferraris followed him into the pits on the very next lap, and both pitted onto hard tyres. Obviously, the Ferrari wear being considerably higher than the Red Bulls. Hamilton then came into the pit 4 laps later, I should say, lap 21, and put on his set of hard tyres. Russell then also going for it a few laps later, thinking that they may be able to do a one stop. It was a slow pit stop for Hamilton, and in fact he came out some 6 seconds or so behind Verstappen, and that was to be absolutely crucial for the end of the race. Verstappen motored his way, caught up with Norris, and 5-6 laps later overtook Norris to take the lead, and that was that. He was never to lose it again. Norris having to pit eventually, the only strategy that anybody could do against Red Bull, because they'd chosen to pit first, was to run longer, try to offset the tyre wear, and get something on him at the end. It's a pipe dream, of course, absolute pipe dream. Hamilton staying out for a while. There was one more set of pit stops to go, and the Hamilton was due to go onto the medium tyres. Verstappen had to go on to the hard tyres, but this wasn't to make much of a difference in the very end, because although Hamilton managed to catch Verstappen, or at least get within a couple of seconds, of course the wear factor was going to be too high. Basically, the plank under Lewis's car was wearing too quickly, and it did seem that his car was very low during the race. But in fact, it was so low that he wore too much away, and the plank length was reduced to illegality. And in fact, he was disqualified the day after the Grand Prix from second place. And also, it turned out that the Leclerc's Ferrari also had a problem with legality, and he also was disqualified. And of course, this then left Max in first place, as always, Norris in second place, Sainz in third place, and Checo in fourth place. This was a net loss for Lewis Hamilton, who would have reduced the distance to 19 points had he not been disqualified, and had Pasty Pastry not been disqualified, to in fact increasing his lead to 39 points in second place, and kind of makes a mockery for, I would say, kind of makes a mockery of the Red Bull people saying that Checo needs to get second place to hold his position in the team. I mean, who cares if people are getting disqualified? That's hardly winning, is it? But there we go. So Checo fourth place, Russell fifth place, Gasly sixth place, Stroll an amazing seventh place. There's something to talk about there. I've had some special words, my crack. So there we go. Sonoda eighth place, an amazing ninth place by Albon. And I'm not going to tell you who's in 10th place. We're going to save that for later in the show. But that is the roundup of the race and the positions finally scored after penalties had been taken into place. Okay, so I'd like to pass it over to Fabio, and please respect the 10th place ban. You're not allowed to talk about that.
I can't even remember he got in 10th place after
Okay, that's really
disqualified.
good.
So yeah, that's gonna
That's
be
very good.
easy for me. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, yeah, okay. It was an interesting weekend. The track, of course, is. I mean, the layout of the track is gorgeous. The track itself is horrible. A lot of bumps, and that's one of the reasons why the Red Bull didn't perform as well as it has always done. The other time, I think it was Singapore, where they have a really bumpy, might be Singapore, yeah, where they have really bumpy track. So they had to raise the height of the car. That loses performances, which is obviously something that Red Bull and most of the other teams did, and but they didn't on the Mercedes and the Ferrari of Hamilton and Leclerc, just to try to get an edge, I guess. And that ended, the way that we already know. The sprint race was a little bit of a test for some teams. Ferrari tried a soft tire with Sainz, but it didn't work. I mean, Sainz made an excellent ride. He managed to keep Russell at bay. I think it was Russell, the last laps with with the car, which was all over the place. There was also the fact that the both the Mercedes and the McLaren seemed to have a huge. I mean, they couldn't overtake, the Ferrari even with the DRS open, which was quite surprising. Because Ferrari is not a very efficient car. As for the race, yeah, I mean you summed it perfectly. The thing, I think the most notable thing which happened in the race, and I don't know if you want to go there already. I think it was more interesting as far as strategies went than as for the race itself. But maybe we're going to talk about it a little bit later. What happened was another interesting thing. Which happened was the both the Astons and the As driving from the starting from the pit lane because they decided to break the Parc Fermé rule. Aston changed the floor on Alonso's car, and the Haas, which brought a shit ton of modification stuff, they still had to find a way around. So they had to work on the car before the race, in between Saturday and Sunday. So they had to start from the pit lane.
That was a
Yeah,
deliberate.
my crack said it was essential that we start from the pit lane, otherwise we might turn out to be Dua Lewis.
Yeah, which is again, it's another thing that I've been personally complaining since I remembered that Park Fermé thing is absurd and totally idiotic. I mean, the fact that you
Yes.
can't change anything on the car since
Mm.
since from Friday, it's absurd. I mean, I remember it, races, in the 90s, and I remember there was one instance where they changed on the grid in Ferrari. I think it was 92 on Ivan Capelli car. They changed the seventh gear of the gearbox on the grid. They pulled out the gearbox, dismantled the gearbox, changed the seventh gear, and then reassembled the gearbox on the fucking grid. So yeah,
Yeah, back in the days when Formula
yeah,
One mechanics were worth calling Formula One mechanics.
yeah. So
Uh,
the
I,
the
I,
the, the,
I
the
also
funny thing,
remember. I also remember them like making exceptions as well on the into the Parc Fermé rules,
now,
especially about plankware, number one, and
yeah.
especially about rain conditions.
The funny thing about that, and I don't think there is too much to say about the race besides what you said, but I just want to say one more thing about this Park Fermé rule is that uh, the really funny thing is that it's the teams that they don't want the change to be made because they say that's the only way that the mechanics can have a rest. And while I understand that from a point of view, on the other point of view, I remember again in Ferrari in the 90s, they solved that problem. They had the vampire team. So they had two teams of mechanics, one working during the day and the other one working during the night. And that was the vampire team. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's always possible solutions in Formula One, as we
Yeah.
know. And the fact that they kind of claim these days that there isn't, and that it's all too much and they can't
Yeah.
logistically work it out. Yeah, they can, obviously, because we did. Right? How many engines did they use in a weekend in the past, in the
No, but
80s?
no,
Was
no,
it
no.
One,
You're
was it
right.
was it five
one day.
engines?
Yeah, but I'm not even going. Listen, I understand the fact that they want to use three, four engines in the
Oh yeah,
in the
sure.
season.
But how
I
much
get
work
it.
is that? That's I'm pointing to the amount of
Yeah.
work
No, no, you're
mechanics would
right.
have to
You're
do
right.
in a weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, you're
And
right.
could they
And
do it? Yes, they
keep in
could.
mind that even now, Haas, I think it was on Thursday, they hired a garage close to the circuit because they shipped the cars from last race directly there, and then they had all the new parts coming from Italy. So they didn't have a car to race at Kota, and what they did, they rented a garage close to the circuit where four, they assembled the two cars with the new parts. That's all it gets, and you tell me you can't make a new setup. I mean, it's absurd. It boils my mind. It grinds my gears. yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
agreed, agreed.
so
Okay.
no,
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
No,
When
no.
you
I
finish,
don't know
let
if
me
you
know.
want to talk. No, no, no. I just want to. I already said that the
Yeah,
thing which really went wrong, I think, during the race was um, the tactics that Ferrari and Mercedes had. Uh, the suicide tactic that Ferrari tried during the race with Leclerc just having one pit stop. I mean, it could not have worked. Everybody knew it could not have worked. They tried, but I think that by doing that they robbed Leclerc. I think of a fair fourth position, maybe third, but fourth position for sure.
yeah.
And the other team which made, in my opinion, an even bigger mistake was, given the pace, was Mercedes. Uh, I think that Lewis Hamilton could have won that race if they didn't make the mistake of they 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 let him out 3 laps more, and I can't remember because I had some calculation. I think they lost like 5 seconds those 3 laps, and they had a better tire change than Red Bull. So anyway, regardless, it would have been easily in command of the race if they didn't lose that time. Kudos to
Okay.
Lewis Hamilton because they went. Mercedes tried to go for one stop. They figured out it didn't work, but it took 3 or 4 laps more, to stop Lewis and change the tires. And those 4 laps, it was lapping, I think, 1.5, 1.2 seconds slower than Verstappen. So he could have won. So I think that everybody's pointing out to the Ferrari tactics, which were wrong. I agree, but I think that the worst of it was the Mercedes one because they could have won the race.
Okay. Yeah, they could have been first over the line. Obviously, they wouldn't have won
Yeah.
the race, but
Oh yeah.
that's
Oh,
another
oh
point.
yeah. No. Yes. 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 No. You're right. No.
Okay.
You're right. You're right. I
Fair enough.
stand
Fair enough.
corrected.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, now I'd like to pass it over to our not an expert, Lucky Wolf in Seven. So if we can start with Le Reportage en Laurent Sargent. Over to
Um,
you, Lucky.
Jesus Christ! I forgot such a
mais oui,
race.
mais oui. Stupendous news this weekend. Uh, Despite a bad start to things with last place in qualifying for both the race and the sprint race, uh, Logan scored his first point in Formula One. Go, Logan!
Ba, 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 ba.
10th place after the disqualifications gives Logan Sargent his first Formula One point after 20 rounds. Would it be? Is that right? 20 rounds. Good going, Logan. Far too little, far too late. We won't be seeing you next year. But at least it was a 1 point for his home Grand Prix, which wasn't too bad. Uh, I've got to say that of the whole weekend, my highlight was Lando Norris drifting into the pits. That was about the most exciting thing that really happened. And indeed, I'm with Gio there. Go Team Williams. Unfortunately, Ocon was a retiree, which puts him in the lead of retirees this year. Most retirements for Ocon. But here's some statistics we're going to talk about, gentlemen. It was Charles Leclerc's 100th Grand Prix start for Ferrari. So, what do you guys think Charles' report card should say? What do you think? Give me your
Uh,
opinion. After 100 Grand Prix, should he try
uh,
harder? Could
no,
do better?
I think it should say something like Charles has done well this year. Unfortunately, he needs to take more Viagra because he doesn't have enough wood.
Oh,
Wow.
oh,
Okay.
oh, excellent retort. What about you, Fabio? What do you think?
Uh, I mean, Leclerc is a very peculiar position. He went to Ferrari believing in the project, and so far, Ferrari hasn't delivered what he thought he was going to find. So that's a really it's a really hard position for him to be in there. It's problematic because I think he was hoping to have more support. Um, and I can see I can see the rationale behind it because Ferrari, well, it's not Red Bull, but they always said a first driver and the second driver, and it seems to be that ever since um, Vettel went out, that doesn't happen anymore. So Sainz found the spot, is sneaking in, and I think that doesn't put Leclerc mind in a good place. So yeah, it's really. I mean, not as a bad place as Perez, which I think it should go. The only way Perez can go back to whatever the fuck he was doing before getting Red Bull is to leave Red Bull. There is no way around. Yes, to leave Red Bull. Uh, so I don't think
Absolutely.
this. I don't think
Endurance
it's
endurance racing for him.
or goes to some other team. Go. I
Oh,
don't know.
that's he can't go
Yeah.
to another team, surely.
Well,
Well,
no. That's the thing. He can because
I mean, he could, but
well, he
should
brings
he?
a well, he brings well, no, he shouldn't, of course, but he brings a shitload of money, like a
Uh,
boat of money to Red
that is
Bull.
true.
That
That is
is that is really hard. And also there is the fact that Red Bull, has no, basically has no junior team anymore. I mean, who would you put in Red Bull right now? They have the only. I mean, Gasly has been burned. Albon, I don't think he has want nothing to do with
he
Red Bull
got burned.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the only one is Ricciardo, but Ricciardo, I
Well,
think,
Lawson. That's who I
oh,
said. That's who I said.
yeah.
Lawson is their reserve driver for next year.
I
So
think that, yeah, but I think it might be problematic. I mean, so Lawson would not solve Perez's problem. They want a
no,
driver which can cover Verstappen, cover, get second or third, just cover the guy,
sure.
even if he doesn't need it. And Lawson would not solve the problem. And also, they will burn Lawson if they put it right now.
Well, yeah, they. I don't think they would be too concerned about burning Lawson, but I
Oh
think
no, they won't. Yeah, but
the point I would make is that Lawson will be compliant in the press. They will not get bad press from Lawson, and if they're really that worried about him not getting results, of course, then they can do a pretty much an over the winter, like up to speed on how to handle the car and change his driving style. And Lawson will be able to do that. Remember, when he was against Albon, he did very well. So it's not like he
yeah.
isn't a quick driver. It's just whether his driving style is closer to Verstappen's than Perez's.
Yeah, but yeah, so there is one thing that Toto Wolff said, which I totally agree with, when he said that they had two drivers, forget Bottas, okay, but they had two drivers that they had some kind of competition in the team.
Yeah,
And I gotta give to the guy. He's full of shit, but he's right. That's something
true.
that it doesn't happen in Red Bull. What I would love to do in Red Bull, I love to see in Red Bull is, well, I think what they need in Red Bull is Carlos Sainz.
Mm,
What I would love to see in Red Bull is Verstappen and Leclerc.
yes, Verstappen and Leclerc. Yeah, no, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Not going to happen, of course. I would just
No,
add
it
this.
can't
I would
happen.
just add this. When the first year, Lewis won quite easily, as I recall, against
Mm,
Rosberg. The second year, people were pissed off,
yeah.
and in fact, what was said was by the FIA, "No, we don't want you to have team orders. We want your racing drivers, otherwise the sport will suffer." And
Yes.
Toto said, "Yeah, okay, I will do that then." And true
Yeah.
to his word, he did that at
Yeah.
the huge cost of the internal mechanics of Mercedes, who had not just two drivers against each other, of course, but two sets of mechanics against each other.
Yes.
And of course, this led then to Lewis almost leaving Mercedes
Yeah.
when one year, the year that they happened to, the title happened to go to Rosberg, Mercedes switched the mechanics teams around
Yeah.
and gave Lewis's mechanics to Rosberg and Rosberg's mechanics to Lewis.
Yeah.
Lewis was really fucking pissed off about that, and it turned out he lost that year. So just to say, things have never been smooth at Mercedes since, and presumably Lewis only stayed because he had such a big say on Valtteri,
Hmm.
as Fabio has pointed out many times, is an inferior driver to Rosberg. Okay, can I just ask you? Like, sorry to stop things, the progression
Hmm.
here. Geo Sam says, "I like that Corvette background, Fabio.
And
I
he's
questioned
right.
it. Eat up level. Geo's right. Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Geo.
Yeah, he's right.
I,
I just thought about putting an American car, for the, you know, this is a 1961 Corvette Mako Shark concept. So yeah, it's a
oh,
nice
like
car.
it's Italian designed, is it? Is that what you're saying?
I, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an
I
Okay.
don't
Well,
American
we
know.
don't know.
car, so it probably spun 3 times since they parked it there.
You got me there. I don't know if it was designed by an Italian. Might be. I
Okay.
don't know. Well, let me
I
check
just
while
had
you guys
I
talk.
have this memory that the Corvette was actually an Italian design, like I can't remember who, but anyway, I could be wrong. Okay, so Lucky, back to you. Sorry, we got sidetracked there. Logan Sargent, single point, un point, one might say,
Yeah,
and an amazing result for him, despite the fact he got it because two people were disqualified.
by default, yes, indeed. Gio Sam saying that Logan's brother Dalton also raced cars in NASCAR. So that's Dalton and Logan Sargent, the well-known brothers, both racers in quotes,
Okay.
of course, racers. Yeah, I was asking about the report card of Charles Leclerc after 100 Grand Prix with Ferrari. I would suggest that
Good. I'm glad you suggest that
Yeah,
because that's
yeah, yeah,
probably the most important thing you've said so far.
yeah, yeah.
We can't hear you, by the way, Lucky. So you may have to rejoin if you are talking. In the
By the
meantime,
way, sorry, I
yeah, go
checked.
ahead.
I checked. I think the designer of the Corvette was
yeah,
Barry something something. I can't. Sorry, Bill Mitchell. But the Stingray,
Michelli.
the
Is that Michelli or Mitchell?
Mitchell, no, Bill
Oh,
Mitchell.
oh, okay.
But the designer of the Stingray was Larry Shinoda. So no Italians there.
Okay. No Italians
Yeah,
there.
no.
That's amazing because it is a
It
beautiful
is.
looking car,
Yeah, right.
especially for the time.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, can we hear you now, Lucky?
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Can we hear you now,
Yes.
Lucky? Oh shit! Yes, we can.
Oh
We can
fuck,
hear you now.
sorry. Sorry, shit. I'm sorry.
Oops, oops, oops.
Never mind. Never mind. Over to you, Lucky. Anything else you want to say about the race?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Did you hear my piece about what Gio said about the Sargent brothers?
Yes, we did. We got that. I was going to
Yeah.
say something about the Eagles, Doolin Dalton and Logan's run. But anyway, never mind about that.
Carousel. Um, okay, so we were talking about Charles Leclerc and his 100th Grand Prix report card. I would say that has done as well as he could with what he's been given, would probably be a fair reflection on his time with Ferrari so far. The other statistic we need to talk about is, of course, this was the 50th, that's 50th win for Max Verstappen.
Mhm.
It's
Amazing,
it's
amazing.
it's
50 wins.
incredible.
Yeah, that's almost 2 seasons worth these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if what we all think is going to happen and he wins the next 3 races, that will give him how many in a row?
Oh, about
It's
3,000.
Yeah, it's going to be twice as much as the old record of wins in a row. I think it's going to be. I think who was it?
No,
Was it
no,
Eh,
no, no,
Patel?
no, 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 no. I don't think so. He
No,
tried.
because
He tried to.
he
He tried
didn't
to
win
beat
it.
the record. Yeah, he
He
tried
didn't
to
win
beat the
it.
record. Yeah.
He equaled it, didn't he? I think
I.
he
Th-
equaled it, and he was going for the win at Singapore, but then didn't win.
yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay, fair enough.
And also, I just say, I do not, and I've said it before, I do not give a monkeys about these records, about how many
Yeah.
wins drivers have got, and this,
Oh,
that, and the other, right? That means absolutely nothing to me in these days where we're doing literally near enough 4 times the amount of races in a season that they used to do. Okay,
Yeah.
back in the '60s, right, when Jackie Stewart was at his height, or you know, whatever. So, like,
yeah.
even Mansell, right? How many? 16 races back then, something like that. So
Yeah.
that's still 10 races left. Well, not 10. That's
I mean,
7 races less.
if
Hey,
nothing if nothing was even more difficult because in the days, I mean, you had to get those wins in like 2 or 3 seasons, and with the car change and all that shit. I mean, if you can do it in I mean, if you have a superior car, you're pretty much set, and then next season is going to be the same. So that's going to be it, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
just
good point.
just think about when the McLaren MP what's that a car always MP 12-4 MP. I mean, what was that, the one which won almost all the races but the
four
one in
four,
Monza?
MP
4-4,
44.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that car raced today, it would have won, what, a million races because
Yeah,
it went for like 2 years.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Again,
Yeah.
like they don't have, back then, again, I mean, maybe not in the late '70s, but certainly through the '80s, every single year, innovation came to Formula One, and the
yeah,
cars would simply outperform last year's car by such a rate that there was always room for a new team to come forward. The fact they didn't in some cases with McLaren was because, of course, they were ahead of the curve with such an innovative designer, Adrian Newey. Oh, speaking of Adrian, well done to Adrian as winning this many races in a row with
The
his new car.
4-4 wasn't new though. It was
Well, yeah, I guess not.
there's actually contention about this, and I was going to use this as one of the myths later on in the year. But anyway, the
Anyway,
4-4 was
we'll get to
attributed
that.
to Gordon Murray originally.
Gordon Murray is attributed, but I'm not sure he was the actual.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
There's,
a lot of controversy about this.
yeah, there's still a fight going on.
Hmm.
What I meant to say is through the late
Yeah,
'90s, maybe not that car, but through the late '90s, sorry, early '90s and late '80s and early '90s, that's when Adrian was making all of the aero changes to cars, and it was really after active suspension finished that was required and became the de rigueur for all the teams to really get a beat on. And am I wrong in thinking that it was Adrian that started with carbon fiber
No,
chassis?
that was
I
John
think it
Barnhart
was
That
John.
was Barnard,
Well,
was it?
yeah, it
Okay.
was Barnard at the
at
beginning.
McLaren. It was the
um,
81 McLaren.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There we go. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll
If
get
you
to that.
remember that
I'll look it
John
up for next
Watson,
week.
John Watson had a huge accident in that car
He did. Yes.
at Monza. Is it Monza? Yeah, Monza.
Was it, or was it
And
the American race at Long Beach?
no, it was
Oh
at
no, that was
Monza.
the one that he almost won or something.
He did win. He won from
He did
like
win.
22nd place actually.
Okay. Okay.
The Monza crash, the engine was off the back of the car, and the team thought he was history. But he got out of the carbon fiber tub and walked away as if nothing had happened. That was
Uh,
the first carbon fiber
amazing.
crash.
Okay. Moving on. Anything else there for you, Lucky?
We talked about his 50th win. Yeah, it will be debated who's most talented now that he's got this 50th win compared with former drivers. But as you said, when you've got so many races in a season, you can't make comparisons. Um,
It's very difficult to. Yeah.
unless you start using fractions of his winning races. But
Yes.
that's here and there. What we really want to talk about, I guess, boys, is going to be the planks. And by the
Yes, we
way,
do.
in the English that I use, maybe not you guys use, there isn't a C in plank.
Yeah, I think you're missing the joke there, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. It was supposed to be a
Y-
joke. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that was a joke. What happens below the plank length? Because of course it was such a small amount that the Ferrari was
Got you.
judged to
Fair enough.
be over.
Okay,
That,
right. Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
yeah, it was such a small amount that really,
Right.
it was more a question of, well, if we get Lewis, yeah, then we're going to have to get someone else just to stop the rumours that it's because he's black that we penalised him.
Okay.
I don't know. But
Well,
anyway,
just as I missed the joke, I brought us on to what we want to talk about. Anyway, the plank. Um, so what's the deal, guys? Why were the guys who were promoted because of the disqualifications? Why weren't their planks checked as well?
well,
So
What's
it's
the
too
deal?
too late, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, it's really easy.
Was too late. Okay.
There is a, there is a, literally a plank. It looks like wood. It's not really wood. It's a material called Jabrock, but it's basically like pressed wood underneath the car. The height of the material has got to be 10 millimeters, and there is a tolerance of 1 millimeter. So it cannot go lower than 9 millimeter, and this is in order to assure that there is a like a minimum distance between the car and the floor and the track. So there is this wood plank, and then there are some skids made of magnesium, which is the stuff which makes all the sparks. When they're bottoming out, you see, especially in night circuits, you see all the sparks. Those are magnesium skids, which are there in order to prevent the wood to be worn out. So the rationale is that you bottom on the magnesium skids, and the wood doesn't get consumed. So you get at the end of the race, and it's still at least 9 millimeters. If you bump too much, you wear out the magnesium, and then you also wear out, the wood plank, the J-Brock plank, and this is why they were disqualified.
Indeed, yes.
Okay. So
And it did seem to me, watching the race and watching Sir Lewis Hamilton's car, that his car was running very low. By the way, going through some of those corners, I was thinking, do you know, that looks like that Mercedes of about 3 years ago? And in fact, going down
Yeah,
the straight, you could see some of the porpoising coming back.
yeah.
Same with Leclerc as well. So I think this is why the FIA chose to do this particular infringement now, is to stop the teams really trying to push the limits, and showing the porpoising again is going to be a sign, I think, that they're running the cars too low.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a porpoising thing. It was more the fact that the track, as I said before, the layout is fantastic. The snake part, and but the track itself is really shit. So it has those humps and bumps,
Oh yeah, big
and
bump. Yeah,
yeah,
turn
and
16
this
or
is
something. Yeah,
yeah, and this is where the car were bottoming. So they had to, almost all the other teams, they had to race the car. As I said before, I think this is one of the main reasons why Red Bull not so brilliant as in the other races, because they had to race the car.
agreed.
But they did it because of they didn't want what happened to Lewis Hamilton car and Leclerc car happened to them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and like again, I don't know. I mean, basically, my contact says Mike Crack says that they started from the pit lane because they knew that something was going to be a bit dodgy about this. The rumours had already gone through the paddock that the wear on the plant was quite extreme. So Mike Crack says that they did that in order to raise the car. I would just want to mention Aston Martin quickly, though.
yes, Yes, go ahead
Okay,
because I got
thank
something
you.
to say about Aston Martin too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So
go. Yeah.
Aston Martin decided to put the old floor, and this is the old floor from several races ago, onto Alonso's car,
Yes.
and leave the new upgrades in the hands of Stroll.
Hmm.
Of course, Stroll ended up finishing seventh, so they were certainly vindicated by that manoeuvre. However, through the race, it didn't look that way because Alonso was literally driving away from Stroll virtually every
Yes.
corner.
Yeah.
So clearly, the direction that they've gone in down at Aston on this particular circuit seemed fairly devastating. Interesting for me to know, why did they do that? Did they already know that? Or was it Alonso saying, I don't want to drive these upgrades?
So I think first of all that I think that Alonso problem was a brake problem. A lot of people complained about the brakes in that circuit. Uh, and but the thing is that, and that goes back to a point I made at the very beginning about the Parc Fermé thing. Uh, in the sprint race, the Aston Martin was shit. Okay, was totally shit. Uh, they took the car away. They changed stuff. In Alonso's example, they changed the old floor, and the car was performing way better. So that goes back to the old Parc Fermé rule that we said before. If you give the opportunity to make changes on the car, I think it's gonna be everything's gonna be way more super interesting because you know cars at the back they can try and do some crazy shit. They can give it a try.
Agreed, agreed.
And so that I think was a brilliant example of what might happen, and it doesn't happen because the mechanics they don't want to tire the mechanics too much, and
There was something
which
I think
basically says they don't want to hire too many mechanics because
Well,
there's
let's
something
just.
scientifically
Sorry,
wrong with
go
the
ahead.
car because if you notice Alonso's qualifying, it was the first time this year that he didn't make qualifying three. He didn't
yes,
qualify run, so
yeah,
there was something wrong from the start. But
yeah,
Yeah, I just want to add quickly that the reason that Parc Ferme rule came in originally was to stop teams changing the car between qualifying and the race.
yeah,
Because what would happen, of course, is the teams would set the cars up for qualifying,
hmm,
get their fastest lap possible, then put the race setup on. Okay, and
yeah,
they wanted to stop that, so you had to basically put your race setup on for qualifying, and that would allow some of the teams to make some gains in qualifying if they wanted to try and risk what was happening on the rain weekend, on the race weekend, or for the main race. This, of course, was a problem then because they then had to change the rules in order to allow people to put wet setups on if it was raining. So if it was a raining weekend, you'd find that quite often people would put the dry setup on for qualifying, hope that it rained, and hope to be allowed to set up
yeah.
for the thing. And this was nonsense, of course, right? This was
Nope.
another way the teams would get around. There is no way. Norris fell foul of this, didn't he, one time because he put a wet setup on his car for qualifying, thinking that the race was going to be wet, and it turned out the race was dry.
Yeah,
Okay, so not only did he not qualify well, he couldn't race, and that was the end of the McLaren for that race. And this all
yeah.
would have been solved if they just allow some basic. And we're not talking about changing the entire car, but just changing basic setup parameters on the car,
Right,
other
right,
than wings.
right.
Right? If you just change the setups, the suspension setup and the ride heights, well, yeah, that would be enough, right? But no,
I mean,
they won't do that. How much extra work is that, Fabio, for a mechanic?
it's not that much of a work, And again, yeah, I totally agree with you. The rule. I understand that the rule came from a good place, but they, as we say here, they threw away the kid with the water, bath. So it would be so easy to say, okay, those are the areas you can intervene on the car, which is basically suspensions, wings, and some other parts. I mean, I would put I would put the inside of the gearbox too, but given that it's a fixed part, I'm willing to scratch that. But fuck me, I mean, change the setup. I don't understand. I mean, I can change the setup of my motorcycle in my garage or even on the road with a fucking key, With a key and a screwdriver, I can change the setup of my motorcycle. And they are not allowed to do that in F1. It blows my fucking mind.
Agreed.
I think
Okay,
that's
okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Lucky, is there anything else you'd like to say about the race in general? Or?
no. I think we've covered pretty much everything we needed covered. I can't, of course, fail to mention once more Logan Sargent and his 1 point in Formula
Yeah,
One. He's the
uno
man.
pointo. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so basically now we're just going to end the show in the usual way. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate that. We've got one more segment to go, and that segment is, let me push the button for the audio.
Yeah.
Myth or quiz, quiz or myth. Is it a myth? Is it a quiz? Or is it a myth quiz? That's it.
It's well, we're going to combine things today slightly. I'm going to give you two questions. One question is just a straight up question. The other question we'll have a bit of story with because it's going to be a slightly different question. Okay, so the first question is going to be about 1958 Argentine Grand Prix.
I
Now,
remember it well.
listen carefully, boys, because
Fuck off. You don't.
the answer to this question is
I
in the
do. I
question.
remember this one.
Okay, answer to the question is in the question. We're talking 1958 Argentine Grand Prix, won by Sterling Moss in
Yes.
a Cooper T34. That's a Cooper T34. What was momentous about that victory?
Okay. Rear engined.
You got it straight up.
Yeah. I do know that. Yes. I believe the reason he won it actually is not because it was rear engined, but because Valari dropped out. His car broke down.
That could
Is
well
that
be the
right?
case. That
Yeah.
could well be the case indeed.
Yeah. I think he did.
However,
But anyway, I could be wrong. But there
however,
we go. Okay.
you're absolutely right. It was the first rear-engined car, Formula One car, to win a Formula One World Championship
Yeah.
race.
And we
Cooper,
never heard the end. We never heard the end of it from Enzo Ferrari talking about bloody garages.
Yeah.
garagistas, garagistas, yes. And what was Ferrari's motto? The horse always pulls the cart. Is that right? Or something along those lines.
That was what he said. Yes, in relation to what a stupid idea it was to have a horse pushing a cart. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. 1965. I was talking about this the other day. 1965, of course. Jim Clark winning the Indy 500 in a rear-engined. Can't remember what car it was
Lotus?
actually.
It's a
Matra,
Lotus?
maybe. I don't know.
No, it was a Lotus.
It was a Lotus. Yeah.
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 Thank you. Yeah. So just rear-engine cars changing the world of open-wheel racing. Anyway, on to your second point, because we might actually get this under an hour if quick.
Okay. Now this is okay. Well, you'll get the 1 point for getting that question right. So it's now Fab slightly behind on 14, and you're slightly ahead on 15. So this last question, I'm going to give you the name of three drivers, one at a time. Okay. Now these three drivers did something that no other Formula One drivers did. Okay. However, one of the drivers is a fictional Formula One driver. Okay.
The fuck? Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So you've got there's going to be three names.
Yeah.
Okay. They all did this one thing.
Can I guess what it is now before you even tell me?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's gonna be something weird, like winning Le Mans, Monaco, and Monza, something like that, or the F1 Championship.
I was going to
the
say
Indy.
driving into the sea at Monaco. But
Fuck
go
off.
ahead.
Mm.
Fuck off. How did you know that?
Because
How
Mm.
I
did you know
remember.
that was him?
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah.
That's what James Garner did, or someone like he was in
Yeah.
that film with James Garner.
Oh, the film was Grand Prix.
Grand Prix. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the director. I'm trying to get points there because you burned me. The director of the movie was John Frankenheimer,
Fuck off.
and they had
I'm not playing this
and
anymore. Fuck you.
Look,
and
Not
they
playing.
had
who?
and they had they
Before
had
you go, Fabio.
they
Before
had
you go,
huge
go ahead.
fights in Monaco because the the they had to film that scene that you were talking about, and there were three cars shot with an air cannon, two
Yeah.
in the sea and one on the side of the mountain.
Yeah, yeah. I remember
Yeah,
blowing up. Yeah.
yeah. Listen, I saw the movie not longer than 2 weeks ago. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
so they had a huge fight with the people in Monaco selling stuff because they had to shoot those scenes after the race. So they had to close, still part of the race, and the people, the shop owners, they wanted, to start selling stuff again, and they had huge fights. And there is a famous scene behind the scenes of James Garner, wet as a kitten, freezing cold, having a fight with a guy in Monaco, shop owner in Monaco, and going in his face and telling him, "How much money do you want? Fuck you! I'm freezing cold," and it was almost going to punch the guy in the face. So yeah.
There we go. Okay, but I do want to know who the three drivers are anyway.
Okay. Well, can you give me a name of any of them?
Uh, well, it was the Italian driver
Oh,
that crashed into the sea. I seem to remember.
yeah,
Or was it James Garner?
no,
But
no,
I
no,
think it was the Italian guy.
no,
But I don't
no,
know who the character name was.
no, so the guy falling in the sea in the movie was James Garner. I
It was
can't
okay.
remember the name of the character that he played. Uh, there was another driver. Oh shit!
Oh,
There was a
it looks like he was playing Jackie Stewart.
Look
no,
at
no,
the
no.
Oh no,
It
no, that was
look at
him.
chat.
So it was
And
an American. Okay, so who
it
was an
was playing an
American?
American driver. Yeah.
Okay.
The but there was an Italian which actually died.
Ah, that's what I was thinking of.
Fuck. I think Sarti. No, I can't remember the name of me. But yeah, I can't. But yeah, no, Farina maybe. I can't remember.
No, can't remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought it was B, but there you go.
okay, well,
Bandy, or someone like that.
Bandini,
Bandini. There we go.
Lorenzo Bandini,
Okay.
Lorenzo Bandini. Yeah, and
Uh,
the name of the character played by James Garner was Pete Aaron. I just
that's
googled it.
right.
I
okay.
just
Ah,
so.
what
Okay. So we got one. So who else has been in there?
No, we got two. We got two. Pete
Oh, have we?
Aaron and Lorenzo Bandini, and then this is the third
no,
one,
no,
Oh,
which
okay.
no. In the film, the only person that went into the water in Monaco was Pete Aaron, who was the American driver, as you said, and
yeah, that's what.
he hit Stoddart, who was then really badly injured and was out for the rest of the time. And his character was based around Jim Clark,
Yes.
basically, I think.
Oh, okay. So who were the other two drivers? Is what I'm asking that have been into the drink.
Okay, well, if you can, I'll give you another
No, we're
point.
not doing that. Just tell us who they
If
are.
you
We're
can
at
get
59,
either
40
of them.
seconds. We've got
No,
20 seconds to go.
I've got to give Fabio a chance to get back
Oh,
here.
okay.
Okay, because
Okay.
he's been so smart and got the question without even hearing the question.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him a chance to come back.
Okay, go ahead then.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go
So-
over an hour. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other two, I'll give you a clue. One of them was from New Zealand, and one of them was from Italy.
Yeah, we said Lorenzo Bandini is the Italian one.
No, it's not Bandini.
It's
not
not
him.
Bandini? Oh shit! What,
No.
what the fuck? I mean, he died there. I can't remember.
No, that wasn't.
Uh,
it was a fire that killed him. You're thinking of. He was stuck in the car and
Oh
burned.
no, you're right. You're right. So the New Zealand was probably Chris Salmon because
No,
it's the no, it wasn't.
no.
No, then I'm drawing a blank. I can't even remember the Italian
It's
one.
on the tip of my tongue, though, that guy.
Yeah, I know it's. Oh
Okay,
fuck.
the, the
Oh, well.
Jesus, I've got links for all these things to show video of them. By the way, I'll give you, Fabio. You better get this, and you better I can get it quick. The clue to the Italian is chicane at Monza.
Oh,
Ascari.
Ah, Jesus!
yeah.
I can't believe Jesus. Ah, I'm
Yeah,
speechless.
no, you're right. Alberto Scari. You're right.
Was
You're right.
and the
You're right.
tragic thing.
So you know why? Because I in my mind it was a Ferrari, and it actually was. It was a Lancia. It was driving a Lancia.
Okay.
Okay, and yeah, if you
Uh,
remember, it was the corner that you would go off on, and into the harbour was where Bandini burned to death when he went
Yes.
off and
Yeah.
was
No.
trapped in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Okay.
You're
But
right.
now, if you would like to see some video of the aforementioned incidents, I can. There's a link already in chat, and I'll give you another link. That's what you want.
there we go.
There's
What?
another link.
Sorry.
So the
Was it? What was it? A Lotus? The third car?
It was indeed. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think it was
You're getting
Orchids.
there. Get this. That's it. You've got him. Thank God. Jesus Christ. Okay, the points are now.
I just said a brain fart because that happened when I was born. I think it was 65 when it happened.
You're still one behind on 15, and Simos, you're still one
Yeah,
ahead
it's
on
okay. It's okay. Yeah.
16.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
so things are pretty much static there. Now, as I said, I've given you links if you want to play them. The two links in chat
Uh,
there.
yeah. Let me have a look.
And
I'll get it back up.
and
Oh, private chat. I won't
if
play the film one because we might get, you know,
okay, fair
we
enough.
might we might get thingies for that. However,
Sure, okay.
let me just do this.
I've also sent you a picture in Discord if you can display that when you get a second.
Hmm.
Okay, here we go. Here's a Ascari.
No, that's not the Scary.
Ascari has overshot
Oh, the one. Yeah, the one. The movie. Yeah.
straight into the harbour. Frogman standing by dive in to rescue Ascari.
That was
But
the
his
actual
It's up over to the left
Yeah.
of the point where the car
footage
went
of it.
in, and he starts to swim towards one of the yachts. He is transferred to a stretcher and taken to hospital with little worse than a cut nose and a severe shaking. Tremendous excitement. Ascari has overshot.
The
Here
sad,
we go.
Yeah.
the very sad part of that, of course, was 5 days later, Scary was killed while testing Ferrari sports cars at Monza.
Yeah.
So there you go. And if you can get that picture of Discord, if you can borrow that, that would be a picture of Paul Hawkins' Lotus
Yeah.
being
That's
fished out
Lotus.
of the harbour at Monaco.
Okay, yeah. Let me just share that. There we go.
Yeah, that's Paul Hawkins, a New Zealander Paul Hawkins, who I must admit I know very, very little about.
I
That's
couldn't
his
even remember
car.
his name. I thought the only other one I could remember was Hume.
Yeah. Dennis.
Danny Hume.
Danny Hume. Yeah, Danny Hume.
So there you go. And if
David
anybody would like to
John.
see the movie Grand Prix. It's on YouTube. Just search Grand Prix 1966.
Yes.
You can
Yeah.
see the movie. There's a brilliant part in that movie that not many people have noticed. Graham Hill actually gets a line to speak
Hmm.
to James Garner's
Yeah.
character at Spa. And as he turns
Yes.
around and walks away, Jochen Rindt actually trips him up
Yeah.
deliberately. So look out
It's
for that.
the line is during the drivers are having a meeting saying how dangerous Spa is, especially in the
Yep.
rain and stuff like that. And then there is the injured driver coming in, and yeah.
Uh, yeah, best Formula One film ever been made is that Grand Prix, as I seem to remember. I saw
Yeah.
it when I was a kid, and geez,
Yeah.
it's
It's
an
really
emotional.
intense. Again, it's really intense. Just by chance, because it's a. I mean, Lucky is right. It's free to watch on YouTube, and I just happened to watch it like, no, I think 2 weeks ago, last
Could
week.
you put a link into private chat for me, please? And I'll just include that in the video.
Yes.
So there'll be a link
Yes.
down below to Grand Prix, I hope.
I
And
think there's a couple of different places you can watch it. Actually,
yeah, okay, a couple of different places. If not, just try and look up Grand Prix. And
I think it
yep,
was
I'm just
Jean
getting the
Paul
link for you
Sartre.
now, Gio.
Jean
Just
Paul
getting the link
Sartre
for
was
you
the
now.
Italian guy that was he Italian? The guy that got killed at the Monza Grand Prix at the end. Jean Paul Sartre, I think was his name.
Okay, yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
really? John Paul Sartre. Why is so many Formula One drivers named after philosophers?
I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
actually the name was Sarti.
Sartre.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, was French origin, but in Italian it was really weird.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Let me just copy this and put it into here for you.
And if you're interested in motorsport movies, another one to watch, and I think it's also on YouTube, is Le Mans, the Steve McQueen
Yeah,
movie, which is
yeah,
Yeah, it's also very
brilliant
good.
just for watching the cars, if nothing
yeah.
else. In the days when cars were cars.
Yep. So that's now in the description for you, Geo. So
I
yes.
still want to
Well,
know how
although
you knew the answer to that question before I asked the question.
yeah. Anyway, there we go. That has been the American Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end it on that little comical note
Yep.
because that's always what we like to do here. So thank you very much to Lucky for the quiz myth or quiz. It was both. And that, yeah, sorry, that might not be an accurate
And
rendition of the
a
theme
film
tune.
review as well.
And there we go. And the film review. Thank you
Yes.
so much. And I'll look forward to watching that myself later as well. And thank you, obviously, to Afufa.